It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Brad Miller as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives here in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to the program. Brad Miller with you on Countywide, and we welcome into the studio today. Lewis Rice is here, and we want to say hello.
Hello.
And good to have you here, sir. As always, our Jackson Hewitt, Rice Accounting in the Verde Valley here and elsewhere, and a sponsor of our program. I like to say that because we thank you very much. Mr. Sandoval from Edward Jones was here a few weeks ago, and the two of you fellas, Verde Solaire, make Countywide happen. We don't have a show without our sponsors. And we're also happy to welcome you for your expertise, as we're going to chat about some interesting things today. That fiscal cliff, I'm so tired of hearing that, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that, and then also just some changes in the law that we visit about kind of toward the end of the year with you each year about different things, impacts it might have on taxpayers and folks as they do their financials toward the end of the year. And then some year-end gifting. A lot of people are involved in doing those kinds of things. There's a nice tax consideration, or can be, but more importantly, it does some nice things in our community. So all of that's what we'll talk about today. We say again, good day to you.
Well, thank you, Brad. It's wonderful to be here, and you guys do some great things with Countywide, and so I'm glad to be a sponsor.
We're happy that you do, because we have a lot of fun with it, and I think a lot of people do seem to enjoy it. That's the feedback we get. All right. The naughty word, this fiscal cliff thing, it continues to get, as we do our show today, bandied back and forth in the nation's capital. What does it mean to Brad? What does it mean to Paul and Ryan? And what does it mean to folks who get up and do a 9-to-5 kind of job? What's this about, and how, if in any way, will this impact us?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of consequences. First of which is changes have to be made. Mm-hmm. And for the last 2 years, we've been on a little, paycheck break with Social Security. Right. So you got to save 2%. Well, is that going to go away, or is that going to be there? January 1st is coming up quick, and employers aren't sure what they're going to do with payroll.
They need to make plans.
Yeah, and that'll affect your bottom line, from day one.
Money in or out of your pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who knows what'll happen? Yeah. I don't have that.
I know. I know you don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does.
I know. And it is crazy. But another thing, though, is, how are the markets going to react and stuff? Right. And is, Standard & Poor's, Moody's and stuff, are they going to downgrade the government debt again? And then so, what's that going to happen, with government? It's just sad that they can't compromise and they can't make decisions. And it's really sad that they think they can just keep it going. Mm-hmm. They need to solve the problem. They have to slow down spending. Yeah. And, we can't run our businesses like that. Right. Well, we have to close if we don't have the money. Right. And they just keep, building up debt.
It seems like this, I don't want to get into a political conversation, but it sure seems like they're kicking this football back and forth a lot more than needs to be done. Excuse me. It's just kind of being fought in the media and being fought in the public sentiment. And I think anybody, regardless of party affiliation, would say, can't all of you folks just sit down, roll up your sleeves, and get something done?
Yeah, exactly. I think, bureaucracy, and they act like, this is the only thing they have to worry about. I mean, there's a ton more of things for the nation that need to be taken care of too. But, it affects jobs, like we're just talking about. Employers, they don't know. If we hire more people, what's that consequence going to be? So many unknowns. Yeah. And it's sad. It
is. I think that's maybe one of the things that most people would agree to, is that, come on. Time, we went through this election. It's like, oh my gosh, and all these things.
Exactly.
Let's get
they spend $2 billion on an election. Yeah. And, so just a lot of waste of money everywhere. But, employers and companies, and they're small companies, not just large companies that have contracts with the government and stuff, and they don't know how they're going to be affected. Right. And, is there going to be layoffs? Is there not going to be layoffs? Is there... it's just crazy. And then, healthcare, how is the expenses that now employers are responsible for and such like that. And
it seems like and I'm just kind of referencing, our little corner of the world, kind of Verde Valley, northern Arizona. Our communities are tiny by urban standards. How do those things, like they used to say, how does it play in Peoria? Well, how does it play with folks, that kind of have, I think most of us in Yavapai County enjoy a rural lifestyle, many would call it. Yeah. And how is that going to affect us, bottom line? And affecting the small business is a big issue here.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be, kind of isolated in the sense that you're going to continue. Hopefully, no one makes that drastic, I just can't deal with it anymore, I'm shutting the doors decision.
Right.
And I don't see that happening. I see everybody playing through. A few years ago, the construction took a big hit.
Right.
Hopefully that'll come back, but that's still a big unknown too with things and stuff. But I think overall we have a lot of retirees, and then we have a lot of people just go to work every day.
Right.
And hopefully that'll continue to play out, and
and we'll see.
Yeah,
I know it's frustrating. Just that kind of unknown is always tricky, no matter what you're talking about in the private realm, in business, or whatever it may be.
Exactly.
Let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about some new laws, things that might affect us, taxpayers, things that accountants like yourself deal with.
Yeah.
Some are sometimes favorable, we hope. Sometimes are not so favorable. Anything on the horizon out there that we ought to know about?
Well, same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of unknowns. A lot of tax cuts are expiring at the end of this year. One big one, we always talk about on the show, tax credits and stuff. But one big one, school teachers have had a little $250 deduction that they could take. So, they'd have their receipts for supplies that they bought for the classroom, and the government allowed them to take $250 off. That's gone. And so, this school tax credits and stuff, a lot of that can be absorbed, well, not really, but you can give to the schools, and some of that can filter down. There's some schools are allowed, if you just, the tax credits, you can say, I'd like to go to band, or I'd like to go to, sports, basketball, or football, baseball, whatever. But you can also just give them the tax credit, and then it's kind of discretionary. They can use the money for those extracurricular activities, but they can take half of that money and use it for textbooks or the library or student aids and stuff like that. So they have a little flexibility.
Is that new, or is that how it's
well, the $250 going away is new.
That's new.
And that's going to, I think a lot of teachers just expected that to be rolled over again.
Oh, and it wasn't. Probably not even close to what they end up actually spending.
Exactly.
On
it was just a
materials.
little help for them. I was just taking part in teacher conferences right now with our kids.
Sure.
And I was glad to see some of the teachers had those tax credit forms and had little blurbs, reminding the people that you have to do that by the end of the year.
Right.
And it doesn't, we always talk about $200 for singles and $400 for marrieds. It doesn't have to be that. If you have $10, $20, $50, you can do it monthly. You can, you got a bonus or found some money on the side of the road and you want to pass it on, you can do that, and the schools appreciate it.
It seems like, and this is the one we always say, the legislature, they just must not have looked yet behind that tree and found this, because I always expect this to get raided, and it never has. And it would seem to me that at this point it's too popular and too necessary, frankly, now.
I think so.
It just seems like there's a golden calf that we better not mess with.
I hope so. Yeah. Another one, the school, the sales tax that we've been paying, the 1%, that expires this coming May 31st, 2013. Okay. So hopefully, the legislature leaves this alone, because this helps out the schools too, because, they're going to have to find new funding now again for schools. And so
this
that's
is
another
the issue
change coming up. Yeah.
This is the issue that voters turned away.
Yeah, which
kind of more or less extending that tax that had been put in place temporarily.
Yeah, the legislature, they never leave things good things alone. You know, they always have to tweak it and stuff. And they made some changes to it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, and it wasn't all going to be able to go straight to the schools and be used, you know, and people don't like that. That's what it was supposed to be for. And, you know, they make the changes and people say, no, we don't want those changes.
Do you think that's why it got defeated?
Yeah.
Here again, I know you don't have a crystal ball in front of you, but too many...
Yeah, too many hands.
Too many
yeah, we can do this or we can do this with it instead of, hey, it goes there to the schools and this is the way it's going. Yeah.
Even in tough times, Arizona's got a pretty good history, and certainly locally there is a good history of supporting schools.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one got turned back. And
I don't think our legislature supports schools like they should. But locally, you do. You have wonderful people step up, you know, and I think a lot of parents and stuff, they show up with supplies at the beginning of the year and stuff, but, you know, we forget about it, that now half the year is gone. A lot of those supplies that you gave at the first of the year is gone, too.
Right.
And so... Yeah.
It's time. Let's take a short break. I'd like to kind of talk a little bit more about the tax credit when we come back, a little more specifically for folks who may be unaware. A short break, and our guest, Lewis Rice, will be back to Countywide after this.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
I was in junior high the first time I caught my mom using denial. She had to have known her painkillers were missing because I kept stealing them. Her denial was so out of hand.
So she doesn't even know? I'm going out.
It was like I could get away with anything.
You kids have fun.
And that was when I knew. When she was addicted to denial.
Denial is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Now, some action from the courts. Billie Jean King renewing her rivalry with Arthritis. First set, furious volley, and right to the net for a winner. Beautiful forehand there. Arthritis, stunned. And here, match point. Billie Jean with the ace, taking it in straight sets. Afterwards, a jubilant Billie Jean King.
Tennis is a weapon for me with arthritis. There's nothing like it for me to hit a ball, run to the ball, anytime, any court. I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your weapon against arthritis? Find out at fightarthritispain.org.
We welcome you back to the program. Again, it's Countywide. Lewis Rice, Jackson Hewitt, Rice Accounting, and we're talking about just different things kind of year-end, and everybody's kind of looking for tax considerations. There's certain things you can do to kind of help with your year-end burden, and some of that includes the charitable gifting that we touched on earlier. You mentioned, and I want to come back and explore it a tiny bit more, about, say, the schools. Let's just start there with public schools, and if you... I don't even want to say the word donate because it makes it sound different than it is. You're standing to kind of help yourself with this. It's money that you're going to pay anyway, or even if you're not, even if you always get money back, this allows you to direct some of your tax obligation. Is that how to look at it?
It does. You know, instead of sending money, you know, down south, Phoenix, and they just...
Who knows what they do with it?
Exactly. You know, it's local, and in the local schools, the local charities, they're good fiscal responsible people, I feel.
Yeah.
And they take good care, and it's taking care of your kids, your neighbors' kids, your grandchildren, your friends' children. You know, it's helping out the community.
Right.
So some of the big changes here, and like we were saying, you know, you can give up to, if you're a single person, $200, married couple $400 to public schools. But you don't have to, I don't have 200, I don't have 400.
Right.
If you have $10, stop by the school or mail it in, $20, maybe do it monthly and give $20 a month or whatever. And you don't have to give the maximum. But anything you give, there's two things that helps you. If on your federal return, if you itemize deductions where you're taking medical, property taxes, mortgage interest, and charitable deductions, you can take it as a charitable deduction. Then on your state side, you back it out of the charity, but you get it dollar for tax credit. And most people in Arizona are paying 3%.
Okay.
So if your income's whatever, and a lot of time you don't realize that you paid taxes because you have withholding coming out of your check.
Right.
So you made $50,000 and you had $1,200 come out of your check, and after your deductions, you get back $1,000. Well, you had $200 go to taxes. You don't really think about it much because you got $1,000 back.
Right.
You're happy.
Right.
Well, if you would have given $200 to school, you would have got $1,200 back. And plus that $200 that you owed in taxes went to your local school.
Where you wanted it to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
you
just made a great illustration that I think we should use time and again. I think that piece of it is lost on a lot of people.
Yeah.
You hear them say, well, we get money back, so we don't, how do we do it?
Yeah.
And that's why, right? Just kind of how you describe. Tell me about the tuition tax credit.
Yeah, so private schools, like the Christian school, St. Joseph's here, they're private schools, but there's a tuition tax credit. So if you give to a tuition organization, like Northern Arizona Tuition Organization up here, a single person, $500, married couple, $1,000. Well, there's a couple new things there. It actually started last year where you actually have until April 15th to give. So let's say, you're pretty sure you're going to break even or whatever. You could go in, or you could figure out your taxes, and you come up, and it's past December 31st, so you can't give to a public school for the prior year. Mm-hmm. But, I owe $200. Well, if you wanted to, you could still give to a private school the $200 and put it on there so you don't owe anything.
Okay.
So you have
kind of coming
April
at
15th.
After the fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then another thing, they have that index now, sort of cost of living increases. So instead of $500, I believe it's up to $503, and then married is $1,006 this year.
Okay.
Then they also have a switcher tax credit, they're calling it, where children or kids are moving from other schools to private schools. So you can give that $1,006 if you're a married couple, and now you can give another $1,006. But that other $1,006 the school can only use for new children coming into their school that weren't there before. They're coming over.
Okay.
And so you could actually give $2,012 or $1,000 and
The bottom line is there are a lot of mechanisms out there.
There is. The working poor credit, you got the Arizona Disabled Veterans that qualify. You have, the ARC that qualifies. The Old Town Mission, we know all the good work they do.
Sure.
The Senior Center, you have Catholic Charities, the Boys and Girls Club. And that's also $200, up to $200 for single, and up to $400 for married. But those credits are December 31st, so you need to act by the end of the year. But let's say you missed it or whatever, you owe a little bit of money, you can revisit the school tuition credit and help out local schools and kids here.
Talk to your tax advisor, talk to your accountant, better yet talk to these folks. You and your staff certainly can help people, guide people through this and other ways, and kind of find ways maybe you're even unaware of if you haven't.
Yeah,
because there's a lot.
And I think we know taxes are going to go up. And and they argue that it's not going to affect little guys like us, but it is.
Yeah.
It's going to affect us. Just that 2% on the paycheck and other things. Estates, it's dropping back down to $1 million. Supposedly you can transfer tax-free from $5 million. And there's going to be nothing but change,
right.
and it's going to be for the worse for us. You know, we're going to pay more.
Right. Get ready now.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Now.
We got to take a break. Let's go ahead and do that. One more quick break. We'll be back to wrap it up with Lewis Rice on Countywide. See you in a moment.
Having a fire escape plan is very important to keep your family safe and together in the event of a fire. When you awake to the sound of a smoke detector and smoke in your room, don't stand straight up. Carefully roll off your bed and stay low under the smoke. If your door is shut, feel the door with the back of your hand. Slowly open the door if no heat is felt. Always stay low until you get to the outside of your home. Always have 2 ways out of your house and a specified meeting place somewhere outside your home. Home escape plans should be drawn up and rehearsed on a regular basis. This could be the difference between life and death if caught in a fire.
Yes, ready? Go get it.
Oh, come on, Randy. Animal shelter, here I come. And no, I'm not crazy or emotionally damaged. That's a stereotype. I just belong to a total loser. I'm a good dog. So if you want a pet, adopt. And if you see Randy, tell him he dropped his wallet.
Fire can happen at any time. What would you try to save?
My family photos.
My grandfather's war memorabilia.
My dogs.
I'm firefighter Brandon Wacker with the Cotton Fire Department. A working smoke detector is your best defense in the event of a fire. Make sure you have a smoke detector in every room except your kitchen. Test them monthly and change the battery once a year. Take the time to save the things you can't replace.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to the program as we wrap it up countywide. Lewis Rice, Jackson Hewitt, Rice Accounting, a sponsor of Countywide, puts this show on the air every single week, and Lewis is our guest today. So just, I guess, final thoughts. Like you say, taxes are going to go up, folks. Like it or not, vote for it or not, want it or not. Death and taxes, Lewis. It all comes right back to that. Is it Ben Franklin? I don't know where that came from, but whoever said it was right. And that's kind of at the end of it, I guess. Just be prepared. Talk to somebody, it seems to me, is the best idea.
Oh, definitely. You know, educate yourself. Go to the website, arizonador.gov, or, you know, talk to the schools, talk to your tax advisor, you know, read up on your own.
Right.
Call us. You know, we answer a lot of questions.
Phone number. Give me a phone number.
634 actually 639-1155 and or 634-9904.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, give us a call. We can help guide you along. But you know, if you owe taxes, I think it's just a great vehicle, these tax credits and stuff, to know where your money's going and help out local people and local organizations, local children.
Yeah.
You know, keep it local.
It's one of the few ways that we can kind of swim around the politics of it and make that money go to where we want it to.
Exactly. That's
and
a good way
still
to
fulfill our tax obligations. Sir, thank you so much. Again, thank you all year long for putting this show on the air. It wouldn't happen without Lewis and our other sponsors. We thank them very much at the year's end. We do thank you for joining us as well. It's Countywide. We'll see you next time.
This has been Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Listen in each Tuesday and Thursday as we tackle the hot topics and talk to the decision makers across Yavapai County. That's Countywide with Brad Miller and Paul David each Tuesday and Thursday on this Yavapai Broadcasting station.